Good morning, Metaverse. This is AJ once again here with Starwind and I think Bugs. Are we joined by Bugs? Probably not. All right.
He was here.
It's oh, there he is.
I got the radio going off at like every fucking 10 seconds. I'm here though.
He's here though. He is here to listen in. It's June 2nd, and we just got confirmation of when Nintendo will be running E3. So it was announced by Nintendo that June 15th, which is I think the last day of E3, like I mentioned this, at 12 p.m. Eastern, right? Because we, if you listen to our last podcast, everybody want to be fucking right. So here we go. I was right. What do you guys think? What's going on? What's going through your heads?
It's just gonna be confirming a bunch of games that everyone already knows is gonna be coming out. It's nothing. I don't think it's gonna be nothing crazy.
Breath of the Wild 2?
Fuck that shit.
No Breath of the Wild 2?
I'm more excited for SMT5 and this supposed 2D Metroid game. But if anything, SMT5 is gonna be on a different panel, and then I'll only get Metroid from this. So there's really just that I care about.
I don't think SMT would be a different panel. Nintendo's really, every time we've seen SMT news, it's been on a Nintendo Direct.
Has it?
So yeah, it has. I think Nintendo is pushing hard for you to buy this game on a Nintendo console. So, and when it was announced, it was on a Nintendo Direct. But yeah, any Fire Emblem news? You give me some crazy prediction, because there has to be one surprise. There has to be one.
Their quote unquote surprise is gonna be the fucking Breath of the Wild trailer.
I guess
That's
that's
probably
lame.
gonna drop in March because what is it? Pokemon comes out in January, then in March they'll hit you with the Zelda. That way there's a
For the
big enough
spring.
gap. Yeah. So everyone could fucking enjoy the Arceus and the DLC that's probably gonna come out for it. That's gonna add like 5 Pokemon. and then you can get Breath of the Wild too in March.
So the Treehouse is gonna be presenting 3 hours of the gameplay of the shit that they reveal,
Yeah.
most likely. So if we do get a Breath of the Wild gameplay trailer, we most likely will get a nice little Breath of the Wild gameplay, and we'll get some Arceus gameplay. I'm not buying either. So I kind of don't care. I'm buying Diamond and Pearl. That's what I'm buying.
You're buying both, or you're just buying one.
I might get Diamond for my brother. So technically I'm buying both.
I'm also a Pearl man.
Yes. We're going Pearl all the way. But I know Bugs is getting Diamond, right? So we can trade and shit.
So you can trade those exclusives Pokemon
Yep.
for those each game.
Yep. So I'm definitely getting Pearl. I'm not getting Arceus. I'm not interested in an action RPG Pokemon game. Does not sound like Pokemon to me at all.
Fuck.
That looks super jank. But it's gonna run on the Switch Pro, right? Here it goes right here. If a new Switch is imminent, Nintendo E3 show would be the perfect opportunity to show how games run at 4K. Oh my god. 4K output when connected to a TV and reportedly includes a 7-inch OLED display. Wow. 7-inch OLED display. That's fucking crazy.
So I think Nintendo right now is being really coy with their news. Like I low-key love their marketing schemes, because like yesterday it dropped, I think around like 11:30 p.m. of the supposed Switch Pro pre-orders going up on like Amazon and Walmart, and then all of a sudden now we have news of when their E3 panel is going to be at. Like Nintendo's just trying to stay as relevant as possible. Like I wouldn't be surprised if they're the ones leaking out their own news. Like, all right, everyone's talking about us now. Throw out the E3 panel times. Just throw it out now. And now everyone's fucking talking about them.
I agree. I feel like Nintendo definitely knows there's someone on the Twitter. Like they have someone hired sitting at a computer on their Twitter, like, yo, what's trending? What's going on? What's happening? The Switch Pro has been trending on Twitter nonstop for like the last week.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. It's pretty fucking crazy. And Nintendo's gonna sell it super well. As usual, people are gonna go ape shit for a Switch Pro. There will be Switch Pros in demand. They will have enough to supply the demand because it's not daunting to supply like a PS5.
Yeah.
Which again, in other news, actually, the PS5 might be, as you said, you've told me this in person. We didn't talk about it in a video or anything, but you were saying that they're gonna lower the specs of the PS5 to get supply out for demand.
Yes, they're gonna redesign it. That's the regulation right now, just because of the superconductor shortage. It's becoming so hard to get resources for the PS5 and the Xbox Series S, considering that a lot of the same components are ones that are used to manufacture phones. So obviously Apple, Samsung, and other companies, they take priority to these manufacturers over Sony and Microsoft because they're not producing as much as these other companies. And obviously, like, Apple's bigger than Sony. Like, whether we care or not, Apple is definitely a lot bigger than Sony. So I'm assuming they're paying the buco bucks, these manufacturers, to get all those supplies.
And not even that, but the pandemic affects a lot of supply as well. Like graphics cards. Graphics cards are super hard to come by now to upgrade your PC. So no one's really supplying a lot of graphics cards.
I feel like it's
in general.
now, there's been an overabundance of purchases for electronics. Now that everyone's stuck at home, they have more free time. More people are buying like more iPads and like other things of that nature to be at home and make their home life convenient, or to make their work at home life convenient.
So that, that lack of supply is going to bleed into 2022. Sony already said it.
Yeah.
Microsoft has yet to say it, but Microsoft basically is going to follow that trend as well. Because just as hard as it is to get a Sony PlayStation, it's just as hard to get an Xbox. Trust me, I know. I've been searching for an Xbox for the last like 5 months now. So
trust me, I know.
The man who has neither.
It's fucking hard, man. It's really hard. You can't even find a Series S. It's really fucking hard. So, I don't think this is going to be an issue that Nintendo's going to see. I think if you and I are going to want a Switch Pro, we'll be able to get a Switch Pro. Nintendo's going to be able to always supply these things. Especially, it runs at 4K, whatever, but they don't have like crazy specs that the PlayStation and the Xbox has.
None of the engines would even fucking go up that high anyway.
So Nintendo's releasing this at a really smart time, because now no one's if anyone says I can't get my hands on a PlayStation, I can't get my hands on an Xbox, but the Switch is now running 4K and the Switch is now running more third-party games. Maybe I'll just get myself a nice Switch Pro, and lo and behold, Skyward Sword remake, Diamond and RC, Breath of the Wild 2. So smart shit by Nintendo as usual. They know the schemy schemes, as you like to say.
I'm also speculating that at least 65 to 75% of their E3 panel is going to be ports. There's going to be a lot of fucking, or like remasters and all this other bullshit.
Yeah, Ocarina of Time. I can see that. You want to play Ocarina of Time in 4K, 60 frames per second on your Switch Pro?
So the big thing with the Zelda is that people think that would be too expensive, so they're gonna give it the same treatment that Mario 64 got, where it's not gonna be the updated 3DS version. It'll be the bullshit N64 one, which I would be so fucking pissed if I got a brand new 2021 console to play a fucking N64 game.
Yeah, because they could easily just port the 3DS one.
Yeah, definitely.
Which does look better than the N64 one. I know, because I have Ocarina of Time on the 3DS. Yep.
And it has quality of life improvements. So there's no reason to give us the N64 version. But if it saves them money and they can make a premium upcharging people, they're gonna do it.
Yeah. Looks like they did with the Super Mario collection.
Yeah.
Because fuck you, that's why. It's crazy because I'm thinking, right? Like, I was just thinking, hypothetically speaking, right? If I wanted to buy a Switch Pro, right? And someone like my case, who I own Switch Joy-Cons, Smash Joy-Cons, and I own the Smash dock. And let's say, for example, I wanted to keep my dock and my Joy-Cons, but trade in the Switch Pro. It doesn't work because the dock is what's going to allow you to run 4K. So you can't just keep your dock and then put your Switch Pro on that old dock because it's not going to run 4K. It probably isn't even going to be compatible. So it poses a lot of questions on how hardware will work with each other. Will there be new Joy-Cons, right? And if people bought extra docks sometimes, and a lot of that third-party hardware too, like charging and all that kind of stuff, like a lot of questions like that. I hope they answer a lot of that kind of stuff.
My biggest concern is the casual aspect to it, like you're saying, like what's compatible. So like let's say if you buy a Switch Pro and then it's not compatible with a different dock. What if the casual consumer doesn't know that, or like a little kid, and like they take their Switch and they throw it on like the new dock, or they take their new Switch and put it on the old dock? Will there be some sort of burnout? Like, can you imagine like if your Switch gets destroyed because you put it into the wrong dock? Like that'd be fucking absurd.
Yeah, they have to find a way to differentiate it. And it's also like if I brought my Switch to my friend's house, like, and I put it on his dock, is that okay? Because if he doesn't have a Switch Pro and I do, so.
Which now, thinking about all these concerns, considering they have to be somewhat compatible, will the new Switch even be that different from the old Switch if they have to be compatible with each other? So it's
if they could just shoot a patch into my dock right now,
yeah,
to make it 4K, where's like because that's what it all really comes down to. Some people can just shoot patches, right? Yeah. But the Switch does have hardware limitations. That's the difference between a Switch and shooting a patch into a PlayStation 5. Is that the Switch doesn't have the capabilities to run anything above 30 frames per second.
Well, this is why the big thing now is that Nintendo wants to use software that upscales it. It's AI upscaling, so it wouldn't really rely on the hardware. They can give you the same old hardware with new software on the inside, making you think that it's actually better, but it's not. Which is, again, the scheme. So it's like they're making you think you're getting something better, but it's just been patched. It's like buying the Game of the Year edition of a game that's already been out. Everything's on the disc. Everything's on the console. Because we've already seen them shoot patches into the docks now, allowing Bluetooth connectivity. So it's like you could have done this 4 years ago with just a little patch, and you're not gonna do it. But
are we gonna get an Ethernet port?
Yeah.
Are we going to get an Ethernet port? Are we going to get another USB port on the dock?
Well, because it's USB 3 is another question.
Yeah, because it gets a little annoying when you want to connect the GameCube
adapter,
thingy, and then connect like a Switch Pro remote. Like when we did have more than 4 people playing Smash, it's a little annoying.
The rumble feature, which is so annoying.
Yeah. So Nintendo got a lot of questions to answer. I'm sure they'll do one of those montage videos of like white people playing their games and and like sitting around and playing like Mario Kart and Breath of the Wild. Like, oh my god, this is amazing. You remember the Switch announcement trailer?
Yeah.
It'll probably be like that. That's exactly how I see this going. I just hope they answer a lot of those questions and the exclusivity thing. I want to know that if I own this Switch, I own this shitty fucking Switch, because I found out that mine isn't even the second version of it. I still have the first version. So I'm happy with my Switch. Like I think it runs fine. If I pop in, for example, Arceus into my Switch, am I just not even going to be able to play the game?
You'll get 20 minutes of gameplay before your Switch dies.
So, like, that's my concerning question. I don't want to feel forced to buy a Switch Pro. I want it to be an option. I want it to be, down the line, a year or two from now, and I feel my Switch is getting old, and like I did it with my DS. I had the original DS for years. It wasn't until So we met around that time in like 2018, 2019, that I got the 2DS, the big one.
Yes.
And that was like 10 years in between of using the old DS. So like, you know, I take my time to upgrade depending on what it is. I don't want to feel forced to have to upgrade. Like that shit sucks. Like I don't want to be excited for a brand new Pokemon game that's not RCS. For example, Gen fucking, was it 9? Like I don't want to have to be excited for Gen 9 and then it runs like shit, you know? Now I can't play my game because I have an old Switch and everybody else is playing.
Always going to be the incentive. And Nintendo, like I've said before in some of the podcast episodes, Nintendo is notorious for doing this. They've done it on the DS. They've done it on the 3DS. They did it on the Wii and the Wii U. And now it's going to happen to the Switch.
Because it's also like, what stops Platinum Games, right, from bumping up Bayonetta 3 and Astral Chain 2 to like something crazy, for example? And not to say that Astral Chain 2 is happening, but like, if that was the case, they know they have higher hardware so they can make these games run better. Now imagine me running Bayonetta 3 on my old Switch when it's meant to be run on 60 frames 4K.
It also makes you question development times for games that we know that are coming out, like Breath of the Wild and Metroid Prime 4. Like, why did they have to scrap the entirety of the Metroid development unless there was issues with
The hardware.
Exactly. Where now there's a boost and then it doesn't look good enough on the newer console, so now they have to scrap the entire thing and then rebuild it from scratch for the newer engine. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild. Because I would buy the Switch Pro for Metroid Prime 4, right? Like, you got me. I would do it. I don't want to do it. That's the issue. The issue is I don't want to feel like that.
Yeah.
I don't want to be like, damn, really? Like, I have to drop $300 right now and 60 on top of that to play your fucking game? And that's if the games are 60. Because Nintendo could easily be like,
70.
Sony and Xbox are charging an extra $10 for 4K games. Games are $70 now. Because we're charging you for the 4K and the convenience of taking it on the go. Games are now $70. We don't know these questions yet. These are all questions that need to be answered. So I'm glad we actually sat down and talked about this, because
it's gonna be a crazy year. Crazy.
Yep. Crazy fucking wild year. Luckily, got a $20 reward from Best Buy. That's going right towards Ratchet and Clank. I'm not paying $70 for that. I'm sorry.
That comes out in like a couple days.
Next week,
right?
yeah. Next fucking week. But all right, y'all. That was the Nintendo news for today. We will definitely be having more Nintendo news coming. You will see us talk about the Switch Pro when it's announced. When? I'm gonna say when, because this shit is definitely happening.
I think the Switch is gonna get announced this week.
All right, there you go. Bold prediction. I say Friday. Yeah, I would say Friday. That's my prediction. That Friday we'll be seeing the Switch Pro, and then, you know, if that's what it's called, and then we'll be seeing what games and the limitations of the games on the old Switch, and how all those questions that we just asked will be answered. But we'll talk to you guys on the next video. Peace out, yo.
Peace.